When he won the Imperial Examination title, he was a confident NBA dunk king standing tall. He was the loyal and noble Foxy who stood up for Yao Ming. When his younger brother retired his jersey, he sat in a corner like a child who had done something wrong. He was the person Yao Ming respected most in the NBA. A three-time All-Star. Steve Francis, the second overall pick in 1999. Take off his underwear. This was Francis's first memory in life. His father was sentenced to 20 years in prison for robbing a bank. When 3-year-old Francis went with his mother to visit his father in prison, a police officer took them into a small storage room and asked them to take off all their clothes for inspection. Taking off his underwear was unavoidable. In the 1980s, drug abuse was rampant in the area, and putting drugs in underpants was a common way to sneak them into the prison. To prevent Francis from getting into trouble, his mother Brenda got rid of his friends and told his brothers, "Don't bring your brother along when you go out. He can't be like you guys." Francis's mother was a nurse who later married a garbage collector. The living conditions didn't improve. Francis lived with his grandmother, mother, stepfather, and other relatives in one room with 18 people. There was never enough money and they often went hungry. Drug dealing and the sex industry were the two main dark industries in the slums and became the means of survival for kids like Francis. When Francis was 10 years old, he got his first job as a phone boy. The so-called phone boy was sitting on the curb next to a public phone booth waiting for it to ring. When the phone rang, he would answer it. The calls were usually about buying drugs or finding women. Francis would tell them where to get the goods. That was it. But this also came with many dangers. Francis had been robbed at gunpoint and beaten up before. However, these things had become normal for the young Francis. He called his neighborhood a hell filled with zombies. He was trapped in it and couldn't find a way out. While waiting by the phone, Francis always carried a basketball with him. When there was no call, he practiced dribbling and shooting. The crossover moves that made countless defenders frustrated were developed during those nights spent waiting for illegal deals. Francis had extraordinary athletic ability. Once he reached 1.7 meters in height, he could easily slam dunk. His feet felt like springs. However, during his entire high school career, Francis only played in 2 official games because they kept moving around. He attended 6 different high schools without a stable home. At the age of 18, his mother Brenda died of cancer. For Francis, it was like the sky had fallen. He gave up basketball, left the AAU team, and dropped out of school. Instead, his drug business grew bigger. "At that time I had built my own drug empire," he said. "Then one day I either got shot or ended up in jail. That would have been my life."